First of all, I would like to thank all of you for joining tonight's The Healing Hour. This is our first episode that we're launching with in the month of September. The topic for tonight's discussion is immunity and gut health. And this is a really interesting topic for many reasons. First of all, I know that for a lot of us, we're very curious, what is it that gives us the feasibility to have excellent digestion, excellent immune health? Some of us don't even know what immune health is, but we're certainly heading into a season that's a transition of seasons, and it becomes vitally important to us to learn about this topic, because obviously we are going to be hitting the front door of cold and flu season very momentarily. I think for some people, they're already starting to feel the effects of that. So I'm really excited to have joining us tonight Albert Vaca, who is the head of our Tao of Wellness clinic in Pasadena, and then also Matthew Brand, who is the head of our Tao of Wellness clinic in Newport Beach. And you should be quite familiar with them. They have been guests before on different chats that we've done. So without further ado, what I want to do is launch into this topic. I just want to reiterate an overview about this and then go straight into asking the guys some questions. So just to give you a little bit of background on this topic, there is approximately 70% of the immune system that lives in our gut. Is that true? Is it not true? I've also heard that we have 37 trillion cells in our body, and that there are 50 trillion bacteria cells inside of us that promote normal gut function daily. I mean, that's pretty astronomical when you think about an area of our body that we're oftentimes so unaware of, and yet it is moving us forward every single day in our overall health. So this month, we do want to chat with you about the importance of maintaining good gut and digestive health, and how this relates back to your immune system. Our guts friendly companions train our immune system to essentially serve as gatekeepers for the rest of our body. So in this episode, we're going to explore the root of culprits that weaken our immune system, and then do a deep dive into digestion and other tools that we can use to better boost our overall health and well-being. So guys, thank you so much, Albert and Matthew, for joining us tonight. Thank you for your patience in getting started. We appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedules. I think what I'd like to do is just start, first of all, with asking you, what is an individual's immune system, and how does that work?
Matt, you want to take that one first?
Sure. Well, I'll start off with the relatively simple explanation from a biomedical standpoint.
Sure.
So the conventional standpoint is that you basically have two parts of the immune system. You have your innate immune system, which is basically composed up of physical barriers like your skin, and then you have other chemical components that are in your blood that help kill things that they deem to be foreign to the body. Then there's the adaptive immune system, and the adaptive immune system is where we look at the body's ability to remember things that are foreign, that are pathogens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we have things that are called antigens that are created by these foreign things that we don't like, that are viruses or bacteria that are going to harm us. And then the body creates something called antibodies, which then where it's able to then remember, hey, I don't like that guy. We got to go send people out to kill them. And that's the kind of amazing thing about the body. I won't get too much into that because obviously that's not our specialty. So let's talk about it a little bit from a TCM perspective, a Chinese medicine perspective. So when we talk about that, we can't not talk about the big elephant in the room for Chinese medicine, which is energy or qi. Because the creation of qi is really and what qi is really integral to not only just the medicine, but also how our immune system really functions. And so what is qi? Well, we have 4 different kinds of qi that are really in the body. So the first one that we have is called yuan qi in Chinese, but it's basically, it's what we get from mom and dad, or it's our congenital energy that we get from them. The second one that we have is something called zongqi, or pectoral qi. And that is really, as it sounds, it's something that's in our lungs, and it's basically the oxygen that we're getting from the outside. That's that gas that we're getting.
Okay.
That needs to combine with the energy from our parents. And what that then creates are two other types of qi. And one is called, traditionally in our medicine, it's called nutritive qi, and that's basically the nutrients that are in our blood and that moves throughout our body and that gives us the energy that we really need. And that in Chinese medicine flows not only through our blood vessels, but through our energy vessels, through those meridians that we're always using to identify where to stick points in you. And then we have our defensive qi. And traditionally, the way in which this was originally conceptualized is kind of, they used military terminology. So the nutritive qi was also thought of as being the military camp qi. So those were the guys that kind of set up in line to then send out their troops to then go and attack all the bad guys in your body. And so from a Chinese medicine standpoint, that's kind of, we have all these different types of energies that are moving throughout our body. Some are innate, some are built up. And of course, you can't have any of this energy without not just the air that we're taking in, but of course, the food that we're taking in.
Okay, I'm going to pause you for 1 second. Matthew and Albert, as you're speaking, if you can please talk a little bit louder because the volume control is low and some of the people on Zoom can't hear you very well.
No, sorry.
Loud voices.
Will do. I'll take a little over on that as well. Can you guys hear me okay out there?
Yes.
Okay, great. First off, thanks for coming. Now, whoever's out there right now, I can't see you, but thanks for being on the call, and I hope you learned a little something today. And Matt and I have been, going over this, and we realize how important it is from a medical perspective, from a Chinese medicine perspective, and generally like just going through getting out of the summer season. And we've been outside, we've been playing, we've been enjoying ourselves, and now starting to change weather. Even here in Southern California, where we are, it's starting to get a little cooler in the mornings, a little cooler in the evenings, and it's like, okay, you almost need a light jacket. So I apologize to you guys, anybody out there on the East Coast or anybody that's really cold out there, but we're just starting to feel a little pinch of it. But even though our body is starting to adapt, and Matthew made reference to like our adaptive immune systems. So that's, again, to reiterate what he said, the adaptive immune system, it's like our body is learning. We're constantly always learning. And so in the same way, our immune cells are learning, our good bacteria are learning what to attack and what not to attack. And unfortunately, our immune system gets overworked. Our digestive system gets overworked. And then we'll go on, I'm sure we'll answer that question later on down the road, but you guys know why. I mean, lack of sleep, too much work, lots of stress initially, right? And how we eat and so forth. But we got to realize that our immune system is an important ally to us. And it's for our health, it's for our longevity. Okay, it's our natural army. You mentioned, Matthew, the military aspect of it, like our natural army coming to take care of us. So I guess what happens is that when the body gets overwhelmed, the immune system can actually attack its own organs and tissues. So you start getting into situations like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune dysfunctions.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, on the other aspect, if our immune system gets bogged down, then we have possibility for infections. Sometimes you get that cold that other people get during the season. It's like you're in an office full of 100 people, and 10 of you always get sick over and over again throughout the year. Mm-hmm. So that's something to look at, like how strong is our own defensive qi. Matthew talked about his pectoral qi, his zhong qi. It means big, open. So how defensive is that for you? So those are some things we want to avoid, so that way you're not getting any, big infections going on. You're not getting that croupy cough that won't go away for months at a time, or even, worse diseases, like cancer, for instance. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, in regard to how it works, I mean, our body is it's amazing how our body is set up, because you got mucous membranes, you got lymph nodes, you got our bowels to detox our body. You got this giant skin layer to protect you. Not even the bone marrow, the inside of your bone is there to help protect you, going along with that. So I don't want to go on and on, but in regard to TCM version of how our immune system comes into play, I think of it always like an interplay, because it's not just taking care of the gut. It's not just taking care of the lungs. It's taking care of the whole body. So it's like the kidneys are a source of all our energy. Our spleen is absorbing everything that we eat and, distributing it to get nutrients. Our lungs are there to protect us, and our liver is there to help our nervous system basically circulate everything. Mm-hmm. So if they're not all working in balance, then that's where we come across difficulty in taking care of ourselves.
I really love the different perspectives that each of you are sharing. Just to recap this a little, because that's a lot of information to kick off the bat. Okay, so if we needed to recap in 3 points how our system works, what do each of you want everybody to take away in regards to that right now? Matthew, you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's stick with the Chinese medicine side of things.
Okay.
We have there is qi that we have within us. Mm-hmm. So in other words, energy that acts to both help us move, go through our daily routines, and also to help us defend against any potential invaders. And then we have the qi, the energy that we're getting from the food that we eat.
Okay.
So I'll keep it nice and simple there.
Okay. Albert, to add to that?
Give me that question again, one more, Tiffany.
Okay, so if you had to recap in 3 points thus far, based on what you were sharing with everybody, how our immune system works. Give us the top 3 points you want us to have stuck in our minds now as we continue this discussion.
Your body has a natural defense system. You have to take care of it in order for it to work correctly. That's the big thing.
Okay.
And that's the big one. I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep on moving forward then. My next question for both of you, having the foundation of this, is let's talk about our digestive system. Can't say it, sorry. Our digestive system, tongue-tied today, AKA the gut. That one I got. So, this is a fascinating organ. You both have already touched on it a little bit. But what is the main purpose of our digestive system, and how does this relate back to our immune system?
I'll take that. Main function of the digestive, I can't even do it either, Tiffany, so don't feel bad. The digestive system. I've worked all day, and now we're coming in here.
Exactly, we're all up before it's even daylight.
Right. So the major function of the digestive system is, one, ingestion of food.
Okay.
Ingestion, you're taking it in, right? Digestion, okay, breaking it down into small particles so our body can use it. Okay, absorption, right? Our body's going to absorb it, take it in, and elimination, because we have to get it out too. Okay. That's the biggest thing in regard to the digestive system in a nutshell.
Okay. Matthew, do you want to add to that at all?
I just want to, what I would add is that the digestive system is, I tend to adhere to one of the older schools of the Chinese classics, which is what's called the Earth School. So the Earth School is basically that school of thought that placed a lot of importance. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. That placed a lot of importance upon the spleen and the stomach. And so for those of you that really aren't familiar, which probably most of you aren't, the spleen, which in conventional medicine, it's an organ that's kind of it's a graveyard for red blood cells. In Chinese medicine, it actually has a role very much like the pancreas. So it's breaking down food and then releasing insulin and making sure that the cells in our body and the tissues in our body are able to have the energy that they really need. Mm-hmm. And so if that isn't working, and that can be for a variety of reasons, like Albert's been pointing out very astutely, that we have to take care of ourselves. And what that means is that we need to eat right. And so if we overburden ourselves with too much food, which is what we tend to do in this country, because we don't, unless you're homeless and living on the streets, we have access to any type of food that we want at any time. And so what we tend to do is we overburden our stomachs and spleens, and as a result, they can't do their job of getting our tissues and our cells the energy that they really need. Mm-hmm. And so if that's not working, then our gut is not going to work properly. And we're not even talking about all the other stuff, the small intestine where you're actually absorbing nutrients, and then the large intestine where you're doing the final absorption of fluids and whatnot. But I'll kind of stop there.
Okay. Okay, I do want to go back to that though in a little bit as we get more into nutrition. One of the questions I have right now though is, let's just talk about then what actually is threatening a person's immune system, and how does the immune system repel dangerous threats, what it perceives as dangerous threats?
You want me to take that?
Yeah, go for it, Matt.
Okay. So as Albert pointed out, he was bringing up autoimmune issues down the line. Mm-hmm. And I'll get into that in a little bit because I think this can transition into talking about the microbiome, which you kind of alluded to in our introduction. But we have, actually, we can't talk about this without getting into that.
Just go for it, dive in.
But I mean, so let's take a step back. So the microbiome, basically, in case you don't know about it, of course, everyone's talking about it. But what it is basically all the bacteria, which is the main thing that people talk about, but it also includes all the fungus and all the viruses and everything that basically live inside of us, because we're basically a tube, and then on us. So on our hands, on our faces, everywhere. And a lot of these guys, as long as the barriers that we have both inside that tube and outside of us are all okay, then we can help repel those dangers. But things like Staph aureus, which causes those nasty staph infections that people sometimes get, live on our skin all the time. So those things, they're friendly to us, but ideally at the end of the day, they want to be inside our bloodstream. And so I apologize to those people that are familiar with this, but these guys are both helpful and kind of want to eat us up. So we're kind of in the jungle, as it were. So it's not just people that have, like our kids that get sick and are coughing on us and, getting us sick. It's not just that. It's also the threats are always there. So if we're not taking care of ourselves, and that includes also our skin as well as inside our guts, then we have the potential of getting sick.
Okay. So let's just talk about the outside then, the skin. What do we need to do to take care of our skin then to prevent that? I mean, some of it's common sense, but I think we still need to talk about this because look what I just did. I literally was talking and I touched my skin.
No, that's one of the biggest things I tell people, honestly. It's like, stop touching your face.
Right.
Not only that, but like think about the things that you touch on a daily basis and that you don't necessarily clean. I mean, we all wash our hands, we all wash our faces, brush our teeth, those type of things. Mm-hmm. But we, like steering wheels, shifters, things like that you reach into on a daily basis. Your phone is one of the biggest culprit of germs, for that matter. They say
How
like
often are we supposed to clean our phones?
I would do every day, honestly, just at the very least wipe it down, but at the very least use a little bit of alcohol swab and clean that thing up, because you're using it on a daily basis. A lot of people are bringing their phones into the restrooms nowadays. So, you got to take care of that and constantly having it on you. So that's it's a big germ fest. They say actually it's worse than the toilet, as a matter of fact, that I've been hearing. So, and bacteria is out there. And so we got to watch out for that because we don't want, there's so many cells out there that can really give us trouble. So, going off topic, but I was thinking about how we take care of ourselves too. Going to the bathroom enough. Okay, like our intestines, if they get bogged down, that creates toxicity in our body. Mm-hmm. So thinking about the foods that we eat, I mean, we talked about overconsumption of foods and things like that too, but that creates toxicity in your body. When there's toxicity in your body, for instance, if you're having, diarrhea, loose stools, if you're having constipation, you haven't gone for, 2-3 days, you got to think about what that's doing to your body and the bacteria that's going on in your body. And there's so many microbial cells in your body. They say there's 10 times as many as human cells. So we got to look at the ratio of that too. It's like, if the ratio is off, then those bacteria are going somewhere else where they shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to do the best that we can to take care of ourselves. So washing, rinsing our mouth, going to the bathroom frequently and necessarily to do those type of things too. And we also got to think about, especially as seasonally, I think it's a good thing as you go along into the summer, into the winter, into the fall here, to take care of your home, because everything from carpet to sheets to drapes to towels, things in your shower that you don't take care of as often. Your carpets, the rugs when you first walk into a house, or your car mats, those type of things too have bacteria growing in them as well. So open up your house, let the sun shine in, put stuff outside, and let the sun actually make it has ultraviolet rays that actually help to kill things like that. So allow it to do so, and allow yourself to get some vitamin D as well, because that's a protector for yourself as well. Not just vitamin D as a pill or a serum or drops or some sort, but literally going out into the sun and being there for, let it penetrate you. I always tell people it doesn't matter how long you're going to be in there. Let me take that back and clarify that. Go to the point where you actually feel it penetrate your skin, and go, okay, cool. If it's 5 minutes, if it's 20 minutes, okay, but go out and play and enjoy the sun a little bit more. So, but make sure you take care of yourself in that matter.
That's on a daily basis to spend time in the sun, or?
I would. Yeah. Especially when it comes down to winter time, because our vitamin D levels go down quite a bit.
Okay. And what about as a supplement, the vitamin D? Because I know this is a topic that comes up quite a bit with different clients that we have. So what are they getting from the supplement of taking vitamin D versus being in the sun and spending time in the sun?
I can address that. Supplementation is usually something that we advise if people are, if they've done a blood test. So obviously we do micronutrient blood testing, and that's like a good way of really seeing how certain vitamins, like vitamin D, if they're low, that's when you really need it. If you're okay, then you're dealing with basic maintenance, then being out in the sun for a certain period of time is going to help. And obviously, if you have fairer skin, if you're very white and pale like me, then you don't have to be in the sun very long. If you have darker skin, then you would have to be in the sun a little bit longer. And what I've heard is that, you kind of have to be there in the middle of the day as well. But obviously, there's that balance of getting enough sun and getting too much sun, because obviously you don't want to have, skin issues down the line.
Right. Well, and that's what sunscreen is for.
Right.
So by all means, a person can use sunscreen and then go spend time in the sun. And I like this visual of like thinking about the sun really penetrating your skin, because particularly for women, we're very conscious with all the things that we see in the media of like, don't spend time in the sun anymore. And women, I don't know your experience with your patients, but just intuitively, I know from talking with different women that most barely go in the sun at all anymore compared to previously. And it is a balance of doing that for yourself because you need it health-wise, but then also being conscious, of course, that you don't want to get too much sun. You want to give yourself protection. You know, certainly women are trying to not get wrinkles and whatnot too. And so it's educating what you're doing today with us and really giving us education on this.
Right. And just going back to that a second, you mentioned like, being outside. Being outside could have so many benefits as well, because you're actually outside in the environment that you live in. Mm-hmm. So if you're talking about developing and developing good defenses, then you are exposing yourself to things around you that your body needs to have that adaptability in order to get you out in. Mm-hmm. So if there's trees, if there's certain pollens and things like that, as long as you're not asthmatic or super allergic to things, get out there, go out and play, get your feet dirty, get your hands dirty, go and play, because that your body's going to build up those defenses as well. And not only that, it's a huge stress reliever. You know, as your body gets overstressed, your body starts shutting down. Mm-hmm. Ultimately down to. We've seen people, come in here. I had a patient today who came in with 4 hours of sleep. She works really hard. She wants to play really hard. And it comes down to just, feeling like we need to sleep again. So we got to reset the body and do a whole reset of that. So in order to get outside and de-stress a little bit and enjoy nature, even if you live in the city, it's still nature. There's still things around you. Mm-hmm. In order to get the air, get that environment, breathe things in.
Okay.
And if I could just add to that, that actually reminds me of some research that I heard that's been done by a woman in Chicago. Unfortunately, I can't remember her name, but she didn't set out to do this, but basically the data convinced her to write a lot about this thing that Albert's talking about. Being out in nature statistically has very significant effects, not just on mood, but on the immune system. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to talk about one part of the immune system from a conventional medicine standpoint, you have these things called NK cells that actually, they're your natural killer cells that actually go out, and they're the guys that kill cancer. By going out, I can't remember the statistic, it was something to the effect of, by going out for maybe a 2-hour walk in nature, maybe once a month, you increase your NK cells by not 2%, by 50%. So, and part of that is because of this relaxation that you experience, by the sense of being, by the sense of presence. And these are, of course, things that we definitely encourage with our patients when we're teaching them things like Tai Chi and Qigong. Do it outside, be in nature, be present, and get away from your phone. Mm-hmm. And so here we have, an instance where you have a measurable instance of you having a very profound effect on your immune system.
Mm-hmm. Very sage advice to us. Thank you. Let's shift this a little bit into, because I'm trying to be conscious of time for everyone and leaving a window for questions. Let's talk about digestion. So you both were talking earlier about good bacteria versus bad bacteria. I've heard things about probiotics and prebiotics, and there's all these buzzwords out there about what we're supposed to do with our nutrition. Can you break down nutrition for us and then how this relates back to immunity?
The one thing that I think about when I'm thinking about nutrition is, what does my plate look like? Mm-hmm. What am I eating, right? Are they have a lot of colors? I'm looking for like reds, whites, yellows, blacks, blues, different colors on your plate that will basically bring a whole spectrum of different food groups and different minerals and vitamins into your body. Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking at my plate and it's mostly brown, or white, then that's probably not giving me all the nutrients and things that I need.
Okay, so give some specific examples. We're going into autumn right now. What makes autumn food colorful and nutritious for us?
You were talking about grains earlier, weren't you?
Yeah. So contrary to what the paleo diet really calls for, I'm actually a big advocate of grains. I have to clarify, I sympathize with the paleo side of things because most grains that are out there aren't very good. But that said, whole grains, however you can get them, are very, very beneficial. So right now we're kind of in autumn, which means we're kind of halfway kind of the earth period, and then we're going into a metal period. So what does that mean? Right. We need something to support our spleen and stomach that we were talking about earlier on, but we also need to make sure that our lungs are nice and moist. Mm-hmm. And are nice and nourished, because obviously that mucous membrane, and Albert brought this up earlier on, if our mucous membranes in our noses and our lungs are too dry, our blood circulation is not very good, and it's going to be easier for that tissue to be broken and for infections to get in there and attack us. So big number one thing that we tend to tell people, especially when it's dry, get yourself an Asian pear.
Where do you get an Asian pear from?
Asian markets.
What if you don't have an Asian market?
You can do the knockoff version of what they call an apple pear, which you can find at Trader Joe's nowadays. Whole Foods will have them. Most of the out of the box stores will definitely have those kind of things. In a pinch, you can get a Bosc pear and steam it, and in a little bit of water, and that will you could just see. First off, we're talking about foods in colors, right? So that's a white color fruit. And it's also very juicy. So we're talking about the mucous membranes that Matthew just brought up. If you have a dry mucous membrane, it's like having a bunch of cracks in your door, right? So then you have bacteria being able to go through there, germs, pathogens be able to go through right through all the little cracks in the door. Versus having a nice little full-on cover going on there too.
Okay, so back to the beauty of the Asian pear. What makes the Asian pear the best pear, and how do we prepare this, and what's it doing for us?
I
The
mean,
way,
you can actually
go
get
ahead, Matt.
I think any kind of pear at the end of the day is going to be good, because think of, for those of us in California, we don't have very obvious seasons. But if you're like on the East Coast, now is the time to go, start thinking about going up to the apple orchards and start picking apples there. So anything that's in season and that's really going to be harvested at that time, that's what you want to be going for. So yeah, apples are great. Any kind of pear, really. Asian pears are nice because, well, they're gigantic, so you get more bang for your buck. And if you can steam them, then they have a little more sweetness to them, so they're a little tastier.
Okay. So you recommend steaming them? That would be the optimal way to enjoy this.
Yes.
And
That's the way I like to do it too.
How often do we need to eat Asian pear or any type of pear? Is it daily? Is it just a couple of times a week?
It kind of depends also on what kind of condition you're having right now. So if you're having like a really dry cough happening right now, if you're feeling like a little dry, more dry going on, it's one of the best things to increase bodily fluids in your body, right? Because of that juiciness that it has. So that's it's a good indication of actually listening to your body and seeing what it's doing. Matthew mentioned the foods in season, which was a great point, Matt. Because right now we're also going to see going into pumpkin season and just squashes and things like that. Things that have a hard shell but a nice juicy inside. So take advantage of those type of things, because that's going to create more defensive chi. The foods like the orange yellow colors that are going to come up in October. So you have like your squashes, the yellows, you have your pumpkins, and to really go into those, because the orange and yellow colors actually benefit the spleen and digestive organs. That's what we were talking about colors earlier. Like the yellow goes to the spleen and the stomach, the black and blue goes to the kidneys, the white goes to the lungs, and so forth. And the green goes to the liver. Red goes to the heart. So different things you can think about when you're looking down at your plate.
Okay, and then some examples of whole grains. Matthew, you talked about whole grains and said that actually is a plus for us to be including this in our meal planning. So how often, what are examples that you consider optimal?
Well, definitely right around now, I'd suggest going for any wild grain mixes or blends that you can find, and really trying a variety of them. Most of us tend to just go for one type of grain, white rice or brown rice. But I always tell my patients, try a variety, because I personally feel we developed as human beings as scavengers, and we actually do really well when we have a variety of things. So don't just stick to like, I got to have my white rice every day. Yes, white rice can be beneficial, but at the same time, it's very refined. It's okay, but really try a nice variety of wild rices.
I think of grains in regard to even folks that have a little difficulty with their lungs, asthma, digestion, allergies and things like that. Sometimes you got to watch out for the wheat type of things, because the wheat is not the same wheat that our ancestors used to eat. Unfortunately, there's a lot more processing that goes along with it. I definitely believe more of the sprouted grains. So if you are going to do the wheat, get the sprouted stuff. And then think about other grains like quinoa, which has a high protein content. It comes in red and comes in brown. Then you have millet, which is technically a little seed, but it's so good for the digestion. It's very bland and mild. You cook that with some onion, and you cook that with a little stock of either chicken broth or vegetable broth, and that gives it a lot more flavor. And then I don't have a lot of experience with it, but there's another grain called teff, which you're starting to see in more stores nowadays, which has a lot less pesticide content going along with that too.
Okay. Is farro a grain too? Is that considered a grain?
Yes.
I see that becoming more and more popular as well.
Farro, and then don't forget pearl barley is another.
Yes.
Would be and pearl barley in Chinese culture tends to be really beneficial for the skin. So especially if you want beautiful skin, people tend to have like pearl barley powder, but just eat it. It's fine. Okay,
ladies, we're on to the pearl barley then. No, but you guys have given us a lot of choices. I mean, literally, that's something for every single day of the week that an individual could be rotating. Plus all of these colorful vegetables. And now, as you said, we're getting into squash and pumpkin season, so they can begin incorporating that too. And then what about bacteria? Give some examples of what is good bacteria to be putting in our body.
You have your prebiotics. Like I think of miso when I think of prebiotics. That's one of my big ones that I kind of think about. Miso, kimchi's, sauerkrauts, pickles. Those are kind of the prebiotics that I think about when that comes up.
Okay. And how often should individuals be doing that?
For me, it kind of depends again on their system, but I think going into a season, I would do it more often than waiting until something's going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's like by that time you're already putting out the fires. We want to do it, the pre and prebiotics means, pre-exposure to pathogens. Go ahead and take care of it now. Even if you did it a couple times, 2-3 times a week, I think that'd be very beneficial going into the season, as well as in conjunction with other things that you have to take care of your immune system.
Okay. And Matthew, your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm a big fan of all the fermented foods that he mentioned, but the problem is not everyone's digestive system is really strong enough to be able to deal with it. Sometimes people have an excessive amount of bloating as a result of eating it. But so obviously, I mean, this is where we really have to push, like, you need to talk to somebody. So, talking with us one-on-one about what your own nutritional needs are and whether or not your GI tract is strong enough to take on something that is a prebiotic, that, we'd have to see about what's going on with you. But great prebiotics just in general include all kinds of fibrous fibrous foods, and that includes whole grains. And that's something that most experts really agree upon, is that, something that has a nice fiber, something that's sometimes an insoluble starch that we can't digest, is actually great food for the bacterial colony in our gut. Mm-hmm. And so just making sure that you're giving it a nice variety of mostly plant-based fibers, they're going to be happy. If you're having a lot of meats, they're not going to be happy. So in terms of probiotics, basically the lactobacillus varieties that are out there tend to be pretty good. I mean, they're generally accepted as being helpful. Are they going to, guarantee that you have a nice variety of bacteria in your gut? No, but they help. I mean, they're a supplement, and at the end of the day, they can only supplement a really good diet. And so eating well and eating a lot of nice fibrous, starchy vegetables is the number one way of making sure that you're going to have a good colony of bacteria.
Okay.
I like that you make that emphasis, Matt, about they are a supplement, as a supplement to the foods you're eating. Because people will come up and be like, what kind of supplements are going to take? And then they go out and eat junk. So it's like, okay, eat well. And then if you need something based upon, certain symptoms or based upon your blood work, then take them.
Yeah. So, okay, now I'm going to bring up something that has been on my mind, because I hear particularly women talking about this lately. You just mentioned, both of you, eating well. It is the foods that we eat, of course, and how we've been talking about good bacteria and what we're putting into our body. But what about the schedule of eating? For instance, right now, there is a trend going on, I see, with more and more, I can't speak so much for men, but with women, of this whole concept of intermittent fasting. What are your thoughts on that? What do you feel is really the best way to treat your body in terms of how you schedule food and taking food into the body for energy and for well-being?
I can jump on that.
Go for it.
So intermittent fasting, to clarify, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are fasting.
Right.
You have to remember, breakfast is literally breaking a fast that we have between dinner and breakfast. So to accentuate that, people are making sure that they're eating early enough, so you're not really eating too late, and then you're giving yourself about 12 hours between dinner, the last meal that you've had, and not eating anything, not even snacking until the next morning. And you're giving yourself a solid 12 hours. And the reason for that, yes, of course, people want to lose weight. It is pretty well known that your metabolism significantly slows down after about 9 p.m. So eating late at night is not going to help anybody, and it's not going to help your immune system either.
So what do you recommend as the last time block for having your final meal of the day?
I tend to extend it to about 8 at the very latest, but that's for people that have really long days. And of course, we have those patients that they're working 12, 16-hour days sometimes. That's the chance that they have, and they can't help that. But I mean, really, ideally, if you have the freedom to eat earlier, eat at 6 or 7. Try to eat earlier, walk afterwards, because walking promotes peristalsis, and peristalsis is basically the contraction and relaxation of your intestines, moving it through your system. And it also encourages more blood flow to come down into your gut. So take a walk after you eat, and that's a nice way of decompressing so you can sleep better. But the intermittent fasting thing, it's a hit or miss. I mean, it is beneficial. You're giving yourself the chance to really clean out the food that you've eaten. But if people always are looking for ways that they can kind of starve themselves and keep a good figure, but it does have some pretty substantial benefits to it.
Okay. So, but you, just to recap here, you do feel that an individual should be eating multiple meals a day, right? Because there's people out there that will only have 1 meal a day, or their definition of intermittent fasting is having 1 meal and then, 1 more meal, and that's it, and then not eating until like midday the next day again.
Yeah, I mean, I think, go ahead, Albert, sorry.
Yeah, no, Matt, you nailed it in regard to explanation. I would have explained it just about the same. When I think of that is a person's putting their body into a starvation mode.
Yes.
You eat 1 time in the morning, you don't eat the rest of the day. You maybe have like a cup of coffee or something like that to get you going in the afternoon because your energy is so low. And your body's like, okay, when am I going to get my next meal? Maybe I should hang on to some of this fat tissue just in case. Okay, so that's when things start piling up a little bit more like that. Listen, when I think of fasting, okay, every once in a while, your body needs a fast. If you feel like doing a day or 2, some people go, in my opinion, it's a little extreme to go a week of doing something like that, even with waters and juices and things like that. But, I'm more of the moderation type. So if they need a little fast, fine, go ahead and do it, but definitely take care of yourself in that. But when the whole intermittent fasting, 12 to 14 hours is a good rest that your body's getting. You're telling your body, look, we're going to train you, because now you're training like an athlete in that sense. You're training to learn how to play piano. You got to train yourself. You got to train your body the same way. So doing a little bit here and there of, eating 3 meals a day, I think that's pretty good. Going through there, having some snacks to make sure that your blood sugar regulation is taking care of itself as well. So that way you're not getting into that crash mode. And then with the intermittent fasting, it's allowing your body to go, okay, my spleen and my digestive organs, you're giving them a rest. You're loving them enough to say, you know what, I'm going to give them a rest right now. But one thing that you made me think about when you were asking the question was, we're always in a go mode.
Yes.
Right? We're always in a go mode. I mean, I see people eat in the car on my way to work. Okay, I see people eat standing up. I see people not taking their breaks for lunch. They're too busy. They're too busy doing their work, and they just sit and eat their food and they do work at the desk. And they never get a chance to pause. I've done it too. Yeah. But they never get a chance to pause. And so it's like when you hear themselves go, 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 go. And how about adding a pause? A pause. And then you can go, go, go again. But you have to give yourself that pause.
Yeah. And it's funny because, we were talking earlier about how it's what you're putting into your body, but it's also what you do with the body. This pause, like for me, I notice that if I take a moment to truly pause and go sit outside and just be under the sun and enjoying my lunch, I feel so much better. It's not just the nutrients going into my body, but it's the sun shining on me. It's like a little battery charge. That then I'm actually more focused and effective for the second portion of my day versus if I'm trying to eat and type on the computer at the same time and picking up calls and I never have that stop, that pause.
Yeah. And that allows you to kind of tap into yourself and take that little second of meditation. Right? You can meditate while you're washing your dishes. You can meditate while you're walking down the street. You can meditate while you lock your car and walk into work. Take those few seconds to just be aware of everything around you and go into a place in a proper, clear headspace as you go along.
Right.
So it goes a long way.
that brings up an interesting thing. So beyond food, beyond these nutrients, what other factors that are lifestyle factors impacting our immunity? We talked a little bit at the beginning of the discussion, but I think it's important to circle back to that now and just really think about other things. So you said, you know, besides nutrients, being in the sun, taking time to meditate, what is an optimal time period to meditate for? And what other things can you recommend to us that we need to consider that are really going to boost our immunity in the process as well?
Okay. Well, I'm going to kind of disagree with some stuff that Albert said earlier on. You have kids, so I'm sure you're very much worried about them bringing in germs all the time. On the other hand, I actually feel like one of the greatest things you can do for your skin and protecting yourself is to get out there and like exercise and do things like, for those of you that have watched us do our funny little tapping situation, basically where we're kind of going through and knocking ourselves. There's something that happens whenever you hit yourself. One, you're bringing more blood flow to the skin. Mm-hmm. And two, you're bringing a part of your immune system up to the surface. And it's automatically going, hey, where are they? I'm ready to fight. And so if you're doing things like that, stimulating the area, then you are getting your body ready for whatever is going to come its own way. And that, I think, is much more important than trying to clean yourself all the time.
Okay, so this is probably one of the funniest questions I've ever asked, but how do I know where and when to hit myself?
Let's start with a very simple thing that that also relates to beauty.
Okay.
So massaging your face is a great way to start the day. Mm-hmm. So you're waking up in the morning and just getting up, and obviously, we wash our faces and all that, but massaging it, one, is going to bring more, blood flow to the area. Mm-hmm. Two, make sure that those sebaceous glands, the things that are secreting oils to help protect your skin, are flowing. And three, help reduce the chances that you're going to get wrinkling and that it's going to get dry. So mm-hmm. doing that on a daily basis is going to do all of that, and it feels great, and you are able to relax. So in a sense, that is a nice meditative way of waking up in the morning, instead of, oh, where's my phone? And then facing the phone for the first, hour that you're awake, looking at emails. So that's like one thing that you can do in terms of like the hitting stuff. That's kind of all over. And that can be, also as a thing that you wake up and do. And obviously you're not hammering away at yourself, but it's kind of a gentle thing, and there's certain areas, and it's something that we probably have to show you. And yes, you look ridiculous doing it, but it feels good. You're massaging yourself, and it's part of the self-care that I think is really important in also taking care of part of yourself, which is the immune system.
Mm-hmm. One thing I think about when I think about the tapping exercise, Tiffany, is if I start by tapping my midline, go right down the middle, and then I come to the side, up the rib cage, and out to the arm, and tapping on the inside, and then to the palm, and then I flip my hand over and I tap on the outside all the way up to the shoulder, and then once around the chest, and then back down. If mm-hmm. I do that, and then I take a second to be aware how one side of my body feels like versus the other I did not tap, uh-huh. that's a huge indicator of how you're feeling. So you just by doing that and seeing the difference of doing that will show how activated your body can get in a quick moment. In regard to washing your face, Matt, I was going to say exact same thing, washing your face, but I do a little routine of washing the face, plucking the face. So literally like doing a big frown. I'm going to wash my face.
Ah, okay.
Right. So everything is tight. Everything is tight. I know you're gonna put a JPEG of that later, Matt, and like make fun of me. It's gonna be great.
I do know how to still frame that.
Awesome, I know, excellent. So make a frowny face, make everything very tight, and pluck your face, because you're putting your face now into that textured state, into that strengthened state, and you're plucking it to create a reflex action, and that in itself creates a softness. So there's that, and then I go I learned it as 5 dragons going through your hair. So I was literally just going like this. you know, and doing that 5 or 6 times. And then I rub the back of my neck and these big holes back here, right back here,
Yeah.
gallbladder 20 point, they call it. And it's called wind pool. And so it's like where the wind, where the, you know, where the cold pathogens can sometimes get lodged in there, and you get that cold feeling. You get that tight neck and shoulders when you're starting to get a cold. That's helping to actually stimulate those you know, molecules in there to help your body respond and take care of itself. So those are, I do the face, I do the head, and I do the back of the neck. And then if I want to add a little extra, I rub my ears, because there's so many different organs that are stimulated by going through your ears. So along with the tapping, can't go wrong. Honestly, you can't do it wrong, you know, if you have the right intention.
Okay. I think you just taught us how to pamper our bodies better, boys.
Us boys know how to pamper.
Yes, clearly. Okay, give us some more tips. What else? What else do we need to be doing to boost our immunity?
Sleeping.
Tell us about
Find a good routine on how to sleep. I mentioned earlier my patient that has 4 hours of sleep. But find a good routine for yourself. You know, turn off the lights at nighttime, you know, dim the lights, stop looking at your phone, and then, you know, the blue light from TV and your devices. Actually read a book, you know, read an actual paper book, to do something like that, you know, and think about calming yourself down. Now, whether that be, you know, a nice bath, you know, rubbing your feet, doing a light exercise just to get things loosened up for the end of the day. You know, writing down something in your journal to kind of let your thoughts off so they're not, you know, invading your nighttime space, going through your head. I think that's a big part of it. You know, studies find that people that are getting, you know, over 7 hours of sleep are going to be healthier throughout the winter.
Right.
So I think that's a big part of that. We have a, here, we have a little aromatherapy. There's some aromatherapy that we have that we sell in all the stores. And at Taub Wellness in Santa Monica, Newport Beach here. Infinity.com carries it as well. And there's a calm one and there's a sleep one. Right. And they're both excellent, because, you know, it's something that you can actually carry around with you, not necessarily to knock you out, but sometimes just during the day, just to, you know, if you need that rest, then you can do that at that time. Yeah,
I love our roller bars. Our roller bars are very good. And also the meditations we have too for those that don't meditate.
Yeah, guided meditations that we have, and you know, all the Tao Wellnesses. While you're doing your acupuncture session, you're lying there. We have all these meditations that you have. There's sleep meditations, there's fertility meditations, there's stress relief meditations, there's fertility meditations to go along with those too. So I think those are important. And if you can't have that time to sit down and relax and do your meditation, you know, true sit down 20, 30-minute meditation, then, you know, at least doing a guided meditation for 15 minutes goes a long way.
Sure.
And you can do those right before bed if you want to as well.
Sure. Okay. We're coming up close to the hour, and we do want to still, of course, leave it open for discussion questions. What are your final thoughts on immunity? And also, please just share, there's one other product that we do have at both the clinics on Infinity.com, which is the immunity formula. If you can share some of the benefits of like why that is good for us at this time of the year or other times of the year. Yes.
So I can get that on there. There's the immunity formula. This is the one that we're having a special on, as a matter of fact, aren't we?
We are. Yep. Right now we're doing buy one, get one free. And actually, we just decided yesterday we are extending this offer. So instead of it ending on September 30th, it's going to run all the way until October 7th that people can purchase it, buy one, get one free. So
yeah, I think that's a good one to have on hand as like a first aid. Matt, you want to go into the immunity formula a little bit? And basically cold and flu formula. So
I don't think it's a first aid. I think you just need to take it all the time. Well, because, and this is why, like mushrooms, and I think we're going to be talking about this a lot more with Francis and Mal when talking about cancer. Mushrooms, in case you don't like them already, and there's a lot of mushroom products that are out there now, mushrooms are probably the best thing to help your immune system maintain good health and robustness, and you just kind of need to take it all the time. So in there we have, you know, things like the Asian mushrooms like shiitake and maitake. I believe reishi is also in there, and reishi is a very old classic Chinese herb that, you know, the Taoist immortals would take although they're not around here to tell us about it anymore, but they would take it for longevity purposes. Mm-hmm. And it's fantastic. There's a lot of scientific research that's been done all around the world about the efficacy of reishi on immunity. And of course, that as a supplement to just eating mushrooms on a regular basis, I think is fantastic. Of course, not everyone likes the taste of them. So if you don't, take the tablets or the capsules. But if you eat them, you got to cook them. You can't have them raw. But yeah, they're just phenomenal in trying to prevent getting sick, prevent disease, making sure that you have all of your soldiers out on a regular basis looking for bad guys to fight. Mm-hmm. And if you like the taste of them, that's what gives certain foods that great umami. So it's extra tasty.
So again, those are something we would find more in the Asian markets for being able to.
No, I mean, you can get them at Whole Foods. I mean, at Whole Foods, you can get like a great big packet of a variety of different mushrooms. They're not all the Asian mushrooms, sure, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you can get the oyster mushrooms and the porcini, and it's like, it doesn't matter. Just eat them. Whatever they are, eat them, cook them.
Okay.
The reason I said regarding the cold and flu formula, the immunity formula, is because it's got a lot of antimicrobials to it. Mm-hmm. You know, honeysuckle, forsythia, there's some of the herbs that are in there. And that is my go-to defense when it comes down to people getting sick around me. Mm-hmm. If my kids are sick, I start taking it. If I'm going to be traveling, I start taking it. The minute I'm starting to feel a little more run down, that's my first signal for my body. Everybody's got a little something different, but for my body, when I'm like, why am I so tired all of a sudden? Okay, let me start taking this. And I just start popping that a little bit and doing it as directed, and that tends to keep things away so that I don't get sick very often. And that's when I start hydrating more and doing these kind of things, and taking a little extra sleep, maybe a nap if I need those. And that's how I take care of myself. So it's a great product now. Going into change of seasons here.
Okay, fantastic. Guys, final thoughts. What else would you like others to know before we conclude for tonight?
I don't think we really touched on exercise all that much. So I think that's where we didn't touch on. Tai Chi, Qigong, the tapping, things like that too. Movements in order to get yourself moving. That'd be totally redundant. But I was thinking about there's just by moving, you're getting that lymphatic tissue moving, right? You have your lymph node centers going on here, down underneath your armpits, down by your groin area, are your major centers or your lymphocytes. And they are there to clear things out of your body, and they have no muscle tissue of their own. So unless the bloodstream gets there, they're not doing their job. They don't know how to do they can't do anything. Mm-hmm. So even just by moving, shoulders, moving your legs, going for brisk walks, jumping, just bouncing, honestly, try bouncing, just not even leaving the ground, bouncing for 3 minutes and see how your body feels after doing that. Mm-hmm. I do that with a lot of my Tai Chi students, and we just bounce for a few, and it's an easy thing for somebody to do and gets the blood circulation going a little bit more. And I think that's a big part of taking care of our body and working with our metabolism and getting our immune system and the digestive system strong.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Matthew?
So just a couple of things. Definitely, I can't encourage people enough to do the types of movement that Albert's talking about. Mm-hmm. But, trying a variety of things, and whatever you like doing, do that. So Tai Chi works wonderfully. Qigong works wonderfully. If you don't like it, don't do it. Make sure you do something that you love, because you need to be happy with what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And that will make you motivated to do it on a regular basis. Obviously, health is a pretty strong motivator, but if you're not happy, then why do it? So find that thing, whatever it is. And if you're interested in what we're doing, we can help you with that. The other thing is, there's no one thing that you can really do to help your gut. And there's no one type of way of eating that is going to guarantee that your gut's going to be happy. And so you have to try a variety of different things. There's no one way in which you can eat that's going to make you happy as well. And that's the problem that I have with a lot of my patients, is that when I put them on diets or take them away from certain foods that they're used to eating, including alcohol, they get very unhappy and they hate me for like a couple weeks. And then they start feeling better. And so the difficult thing is really putting in the effort on your own to find different ways of eating and finding different types of food that may not be available at Whole Foods, may not be available at your Trader Joe's, may not be available at your Ralph's, or, you know, whatever it is. So expand your palate is the basic thing that I want to say.
Very good advice from both of you. Thank you. Okay. Let's take a moment to open up for questions and just see, for those of you that are online with us, you have a chat box that you can click on to write in a question. I believe you also have the ability to raise a hand if you want to. And I'm watching on my phone just in case. I heard that we actually did come up on Facebook feed as well. So I guess some viewers are able to see it, and then others, like myself, could not for some reason. But that's a good sign. So I'm just kind of watching from both sides. If anybody has questions, Leah's letting me know too. No, I know we covered a lot, so hopefully we were able to answer within the content itself questions that people would have. Okay. Oh, no questions coming from her end either. Okay, we are question free tonight. So I do want to thank both of you for taking the time out of your schedule. I love talking with you guys. You guys make me so happy. You're the perfect combo as a duo to be giving talks like this. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to spend this evening with us. I know a lot of people will be coming back on with replay because certainly, you know, we do have a large audience that's over on the East Coast and internationally as well. So just, you know, I would say to everyone in our audience, if you do have questions, then please feel welcome to send them in. You can send them to marketing@infinity.com, and I will forward those to Albert and Matthew for their response. Or you can also leave questions and comments in our Facebook feed in the comments section, and we're happy to take a look at those over the upcoming week and see what we can respond to. All three of us actually spend quite a bit of time online, so we will see your comments and give you feedback on those as well. Again, gentlemen, thank you so much for the time you took for us tonight. Very, very nice of you. I know you both have families that are waiting for you, and it's dinner time for you now too. So any last thoughts you'd like to share before we take off for the evening? I think we've rounded up quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all set. I think we've gone over a lot. I don't want to take care, but yeah, being acupuncturists, we can't forget that. Go see your acupuncturist. Don't just wait till you're sick, because we have a lot of preventative programs that help take care of you, and we're especially good with colds and flus and digestive issues. And so, you know, that's the beauty of our medicine, is we're able to do this and include all the lifestyle and beneficial factors and different tools we have in our bag to help you out. So don't wait until you're sick. Go ahead and take care of yourself now.
Okay. Thank you very much for this evening.